Peace, peace, peace. Give me just a quick second. I'm still getting ready and shit. I'm gonna let y'all vibe out to a mantra real quick while I get my life together. Shout outs to everybody that came through. Shout outs to everybody that's going to come through. I appreciate all of you niggas. Let y'all vibe out to a mantra. Don't worry, I'm just getting myself together real quick. Mm, 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 mm.
Who is Carl Icahn, and why did Time magazine call him the master of the
I don't know why they call that nigga the master of the universe. I'm the master of the universe. Fuck out of here. Alright. Y'all vibe out to this real quick. I'm gonna get my life together. Look at this. So I gotta get my handy dandy dagger and stab the shit out of spirits with this one. Get yourself a dagger. Daggers are important in magic work. Cut through some veils and shit. Is the end. Wouldn't be right if I didn't invoke the barons real quick. Do I feel good? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Alright, so one time for my niggas, two times for my niggas. It's your main man, Daddy Shiva. Back in this bitch once again. Oh shit, y'all can see the reflection of what I'm looking at. That's lit. Alright, anyway. We're here, November 2018, Aura Alignment. This is actually something that I usually do as a part of, my general like ceremonies. We do like the full of the new moon ceremonies and shit like that. Usually the aura alignment aspect of this is something that I do in those ceremonies. The actual concept of the aura alignment was something that I created as a part of my one-on-one personal advisor services that I will be making official soon. I have a couple unofficial clients, you see what I'm saying? But I will be making this an official service very soon, but it's something that I offer as a part of that as it's a once every 2 weeks type of thing. And it includes different mudras, different mantras. I utilize some of the Reiki techniques that I have at my disposal, and it's really all about aligning one's energy, aligning one's aura with a specific set of archetypes in order to be able to not only unlock all of the power that these archetypes contain, but also being able to deal with the different shadow issues, the different blockages, the different traumas, the different subconscious programmings that go along with those archetypes, so that way we can create a much better and accelerated healing process. You see what I'm saying? So what I really want everyone to understand about these particular mudras, mantras, the meditations that go along with them, you know what I'm saying? All of that is that it's for accelerating, you see what I'm saying, the healing work. It's for accelerating the shadow work process, you see what I'm saying, and really bringing about a true change in consciousness by dealing with the subconsciousness, on a much grander level once again. So um, today on the Zolkin calendar, if I'm not fucking around, was Akbal 9 men, or 9 Akbal men, however the fuck you want to say. Either which way, the harmonic tone for today is 9. The day sign for today is Akbal, and the Trakana that this is all happening, or the energetic background that this is all happening in, is men. So here we have Akbal. You see that? Here we have men. You see them together. Okay. Yes. Today is also the official full moon. So using the Zolkin as, like I said in the Zolkin New Year video, as this time synchronization mechanism between all of the different celestial bodies that exist. You see what I'm saying? I figured that I would utilize these particular archetypes of energy in order to conduct this aura alignment, and really help you guys get deeper into the energy that is ultimately being amplified and being brought forward with this Gemini full moon. You see what I'm saying? Or I should say, this full moon within the space of time of Gemini. You see what I'm saying? So, as you can see, I didn't pick this mantra for no damn reason. It definitely correlates to what's going on. There's definitely a lot of purification. The divine reset is what a lot of my tropical astrologer homies are calling this shit right about now. I do believe the moon was at like 0 degrees Sagittarius, and then no, the moon was at 0 degrees Gemini, and then the sun was at 0 degrees Sagittarius, and everyone's calling this the divine reset. Because of the nature of Gemini Sagittarius being these portals between, you know what I'm saying, the real world, quote unquote, and the spiritual world, quote unquote, even though there's no real difference between the two except subtleties and vibrational levels. But I found it very interesting that that was even what niggas decided to call it, because of the fact that, like I discussed in my last video, um, the Tun cycle, the 360-day year of the Zolkin calendar, restarted itself November 20th. You see what I'm saying? We also have the recycling of the 260-day cycle of the day signs happening December 11th. And I talked about how this particular period of time between November 20th and December 11th was going to be very important in terms of renewing cycles, um, revitalization of one's energies, revitalization of one's goals, a rebirthing. You see what I'm saying? I talked about how the transition between Scorpio and Sagittarius as archetypes in space time, right, deal with not only the underworld but the rise out of the underworld. You see what I'm saying? Shooting that arrow out of the underworld back into the heavens. You see what I'm saying? So I definitely wanted to bring forward this energy, bring forward these techniques, and also bring forward this knowledge that comes with, you see what I'm saying, these archetypes and techniques and everything. So that way you niggas can really understand on a much deeper vibe what this particular space in time is all about. You see what I'm saying? So here we are, once again, one time for my niggas, two times for my niggas. It's your main man, Daddy Sheev, and we about to get into this. First, I kind of want to start by playing a little bit of this here singing bowl. Of course, you can't see it. There's a Herkimer diamond in there. Herkimer diamond's amazing for those that do Reiki work, for those that do energetic healing work. I would definitely suggest you all get some. I put this Herkimer diamond in this singing bowl to amplify its power. So as I play it, I really want y'all to vibe to the sound. You see what I'm saying? I really want y'all to feel out the sound. I'm not gonna play it for too long because I got shit to explain and then mudras to go through and then mantras to talk to you niggas about and meditation intentions. I don't know how long I'm gonna be here, but I'm gonna try to make this as quick as I can. But also, I feel like in the spiritual community, we need to start getting into a zone of being able to really sit with information for extended periods of time. Social media is putting us in a zone of like microwave consciousness where everybody wants it hot and fast and right now. And this work is a work that takes lifetimes. You see what I'm saying? So there really isn't any rush. So I'm not gonna rush myself to deliver a message just so niggas feel comfortable within their little whatever miniature attention span zone that they got. I'm gonna push you to really extend your shit, really hold a lot of knowledge. I'm gonna push you to really channel this shit with me. So this is how I'm gonna start it. Let me just shut that shit up. But one time for Ganga, one time for Satet. Ashe, Ashe. I want to say Ashe to Ashe to Satet, Ashe to Sekhmet, Ashe to the Duat, and Ashe to Hehu. I'm not going to explain why, but those four Neteru are going to become very important as we do this work. I want to say Ashe to Akbal and Ashe to men and those archetypes for helping me channel and deliver this message to the collective, from the collective unconsciousness into the collective consciousness. You see what I'm saying? I also want to give a big shout out to Mama Kali and the Dark Eagle meditation. Well, it wasn't really a meditation, it was a hypnosis trance induction. I want to thank her for that. That shit is definitely gonna become a very important part of amplifying this work that I'm doing now and also really helping people understand how to travel through dimensions by understanding inner space. There is no way to travel through dimensions in outer space, but you can definitely travel through dimensions in inner space. So understanding the different emotional bodies, understanding those different layered levels of reality that we call the emotions, that we call the chakras. You see what I'm saying? That particular video and the information inside of that video and the trance induction that she was able to get off in that video are very important and go hand in hand with everything that I'm about to speak about right now. Of course, Men is an eagle. As you can see, Akbal is black as shit, hence the dark eagle. So if you wanna if you want more ways to make this energy practical and usable and really accelerate the healing once again, definitely consider investing in that. But all right, enough talking. Let's get to the shits. So I just want y'all to vibe out, feel it. Like I said, I'm utilizing a lot of Reiki techniques to transmit this energy to y'all, through y'all, and for y'all. So just open up to it. Now that we done opened up the portals, cleansed the general energy around us and in our aura, I want to really go into some of the finer details of what the energy of this full moon is all about and the specific quantum space and time that we're in. So, like I said, the day sign for today, Akbal. All right. When we're dealing with Akbal, we're dealing with the qualities of the conscious dreamer, right? We're dealing with the qualities of a journey into self. We're dealing with the qualities of stillness, all right? Associated with the archetype of Akbal is the symbols of the bat, the cave, and the womb. Hey.
Fucking dumbass door. Did you hear it? It turned on me like 3 times.
Okay.
Nice in here.
It does because I'm on camera. You see how you just come in here so hot, bro? Y'all excuse Kali, bro. I don't know. She's a mighty violent one. Word to Sekhmet. Yo, son. Hey yo, shout outs to the goddess. Anywho, we're dealing with Akbal. We're dealing with those qualities of the conscious dreamer, the journey into the self, the stillness, the dream field matrix. You see what I'm saying? We're like I said, we're dealing with the symbols of the bat, the cave, the womb, right? And the night, all of which are associated with darkness. All right, all of which are associated with a manifestation of the unconscious, subconscious realms of reality and existence. All right, so that's what we're dealing with when we're dealing with Akbal. All right, when we're dealing with men now as the energetic background, as the Trakana energy, right? We're dealing with qualities of commitment, compassionate service, global consciousness, and the planetary mind. So when we're dealing with the planetary mind, we're obviously dealing with the planetary mind at all of the levels that it exists on. So we're dealing with the collective human consciousness, the collective human subconsciousness, and the collective human unconsciousness. All right. And all of the things, thoughts, forms, archetypes, entities, everything that it includes and entails. All right. That's what we're dealing with within those regards. All right. Symbols associated with men, eagle. All right. We're dealing with the eagle, or that which has a much higher vision. So another symbol of men would be the third eye. All right. Now, interestingly enough, when we deal with the science behind the third eye or the pineal gland or the pineal pituitary complex within the brain, it's very interesting to note that the pineal gland or the pineal pituitary complex works a lot better in the realm of Akbal. It works a lot better in the realm of the night, in the realm of the subconscious, in the realm of the dreams is when the pineal pituitary body, that third eye that is encapsulated within the archetype of men, this is when it works the best in night. So these two things go together. All right. These two aspects work with one another. When you're dreaming, your third eye is active. You see what I'm saying? When you are up staring into darkness at night, your third eye is active. You see what I'm saying? When you go into spaces of darkness, your third eye becomes activated. This is why a lot of ancient cultures utilize uh, concepts that we would now associate with sensory deprivation in order to activate higher levels of consciousness. In the ancient Vedic system, they'd have a ritual called Shaktipat, where they would literally send you into all the way into the back of a deep ass cave, and you'd sit in that darkness separated from light until you are able to find the light within yourself and then fully bring that forward and activate it as your light body. Right? Shaktipat, the rising of the serpent into the third eye, thus illuminating self when there is no light around you. All right. I also find it very interesting that Akbal is associated with the energy of the womb because, once again, we're dealing with a space and time in which a lot of rebirth and revitalization and remanifestation is actually taking place. We're going into a space in which a lot of cycles are restarting themselves in order to bring about a new change in not only how we perceive, but how we manifest things. I'm frozen on this side, or it looks frozen on my side. Am I frozen? Y'all let me know if I'm frozen. Y'all can just drop it in the thing. But
If you're connected to the Wi-Fi, you might be frozen.
no, I'm connected. I'm just on my regular thing. Yeah. All right. Anyway, it's still going, so I'm gonna keep talking.
Can they hear you?
Yeah, they can hear me. Mm. It is what it is. It'll unfreeze in a second. Hold on. Oh, see? Hey, just like that. Boom, unfrozen. I got magic powers, nigga. But anyway, like I was saying, this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a space and time which there is going to be a lot of rebirth, which ultimately means we have to enter back into the womb, a space of darkness, a triple darkness, so to speak, right? Because there are 3 trimesters of birth. The 260-day base cycle of the Zolkin calendar is those 3 trimesters from conception all the way through the gestation to the birth. All right. So this is what we're dealing with here. This is what we're going through. This is what we're currently in. We're in a space and time where we're going to be rebirthing ourselves, but that automatically implies that we are going to have to go back into the space in which we were born from in order to be recreated as a new or higher version. We're dealing with men, so we have to take it higher, right? A new or higher version of what we were before. We now have to see ourselves from a higher perspective and then give birth to that higher perspective here on earth. But of course, that work does not require going outside of ourselves. Once again, the third eye works best in the dark. So when you close these 2 eyes, this is why I put on the shades. When you close these 2 eyes and you limit the amount of conscious input you're getting from the external world, the third eye opens up and it begins to illuminate your internal world. Hence why the shadow wisdom associated with Akbal is viewpoint 2 internal and subjective, sadness, depression, self-judgment, fear of change. Because usually these are the things that we deal with when we are not actively able to really get in and see all of the deeper internal workings of who we are. The more we try to avoid our own internal turmoils, our own internal trauma, our own internal programmings, the more those shadows begin to project themselves outside of us as the people we interact with, the situations we interact with, and ultimately the reality that we live in. Because if Akbal is the conscious dreamer, row, row, row your boat gently down the stream, merrily, 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 life is but a dream. So everything that is your subconscious mind becomes your conscious reality, especially when you are not actively putting your eyes into the dark to really see what's going on. When we don't want to turn and look at our shadow, look at our unconscious and subconscious programmings, we ultimately end up in this space of sadness and depression. I've talked about depression before in the guise of its etymological origin. Let's not deal with words as they are associated currently. Let's deal with words in their origin, right? So when we're dealing with depression, we're dealing with the word depress, which etymologically means to push down, to hold back, right? A tongue depressor, it pushes down your tongue. So when we're depressed, ultimately, it's not that we are trying to, let me say it like this. Ultimately, when we're depressed, it's not that we're in our feelings. No, 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 no. It's that we are not allowing ourselves to fully express all of our feelings. And thus, the weight of all of that energy sitting on top of us without any release creates a pressure that pushes us down, that holds us down, that ultimately forces us to drop our head. Right? Ultimately forces us to drop our head. Now it's very interesting that if you focus your eyes downward, right, psychologically, that activates more of your emotional body. So depression is a hanging down of the head, a pressure on the head from a lack of emotional release that causes you to ultimately focus even more on your emotions, which then causes a negative feedback loop. So you're focused on your emotions while ultimately realizing that you're not expressing all your emotions, which then causes you to more pressure on your head to look down, to focus more on your emotions. The depression gets deeper and deeper and deeper. The sadness gets deeper and deeper and deeper. And even though you're trying not to focus on your internal and subjective world, that's exactly what everything around you ends up becoming a reflection of until you deal with it. All right. Self-judgment comes into this shadow as well when we understand that the etymological origins of the word forgiveness deal with a lack of a desire to punish, right? Forgiveness is also a releasing process, releasing the desire, letting go of the desire to punish oneself. So when we're dealing with this aspect of self-judgment, we're looking at all these emotions that we can't express or that we won't express. We're ultimately judging ourselves because these emotions that we won't express are creating a reality around us that we don't agree with, we don't enjoy. We're trapped in what would literally be a conscious nightmare, right? But ultimately, not understanding that we're beating ourselves up on that level. We're the ones that refuse to let go of these energies in order to be able to move on, to move forward, to step out of this dark space into a higher and new light. We're the ones stopping ourselves from being born into a new reality because we've become so scared within this conscious nightmare that we can't actually see a way out. Hold that. I just want y'all to hold that in your head, all right? Let's go look at the shadow aspects that come in with men and see if we can't find a connection between the two and ultimately take this shit to a new level. All right. So, boom. When we're dealing with the shadow of men, we're dealing with being obsessed with service to others, being the rescuer, saving others, not being able to say no, a loss of hope and meaning, and feelings of futility. All right. So, boom. Ultimately, when we're looking at this obsession with service to others, it's actually the scapegoat that we would use in order to avoid having to deal with our own shit. So if I focus on trying to save this person over here and that person over there and that nigga over there and that motherfucker and guess what I'm never doing? I'm never taking the time to shut myself off from all of that to look at myself and deal with my own internal works, right? So another side of depression could very well be trying to save everybody else who's depressed, while ultimately never realizing all of these depressed people around you are really a reflection of work that you have yet to do, right? Here's the next step. Niggas will start getting into a zone where they realize, yo, there's way too many people that need help. And because you've placed it on yourself as your responsibility to save all of them, you start to get into this zone of thinking where it's like, shit, I don't have the necessary means and resources to actually be able to heal all of these people, to be able to save all of these people. Now you feel hopeless. Now you feel like you're running a mission that is pretty much a suicide mission. Sorry about that. Boom. So you're running a suicide mission. I forgot to. Hold on. Let me get my life together. All right. So, boom. You're pretty much running a suicide mission where you are unable to see how it is that you're actually going to be able to do all of these things that you're doing because you ultimately don't have the resources necessary to save all these motherfuckers, right? But you've made it your responsibility because ultimately you're now trying to use saving others as an escape mechanism for having to deal with your own shit and having to save yourself, right? You're lost in this abyss where when you look into your own internal world, you don't see anything that's too positive. When you look into your external world, you see the reflection of that as a conscious nightmare all around you. And now all hope is gone, all hope is lost. All right. So I really want you to understand the way in which this full moon is now illuminating and shining light on these very aspects of your psyche that that need to be addressed and need to be dealt with in order for you to actually be reborn into a new level of into a new level of light, a new level of power within oneself. This right here, right now, would be considered in the ancient Egyptian cosmological standpoint as the darkest hour of the night within the duat or the underworld. All right. Within this darkest hour of the night, not even the light of Ra, who was conceptualized as a falcon or hawk or eagle headed creature, right? Right? Where not even the light of Ra can penetrate the darkness. And it is the fire of the serpent boat with which he is riding through the underworld that he utilizes to be able to see. All right. Within this darkest hour of the night are all of the deadliest creatures that you can think of, all of the meanest, nastiest demons that you got. This is where they live. This is where they exist. You see what I'm saying? And here's the full moon now coming in to really illuminate all of these different aspects, all of these different shadow aspects, all of these unhealed traumas, all of these unforgiven aspects of self, right? That need to be seen and addressed and owned and taken responsibility for in order for you to actually be able to make it to the dawning of a new era, a dawning of a new creature. Because once again, it's always darkest before the dawn. The darkest hour of the night actually happens right before the sun rises out of the duat, reborn in a more perfected state. This is right before the eagle comes out of the ashes, or the phoenix, I should say, which is pretty much an eagle, you know, some type of bird of prey, right? Rises out of the ashes as a new being. This is what I'm talking about here. So, in order for you to actually be able to save others, you're going to have to first be able to save yourself. Because if you can't make it out of the underworld, if you can't make it out of this shadow, if you can't make it out of these dark spaces within yourself, how the fuck are you going to be able to have the vision necessary to guide someone else out of those spaces? Both of y'all going to be lost in the dark, scared as shit. This is what I'm dealing with, and this is what I'm talking about in regards to what this full moon is really actually dealing with. All right. Not to mention the fact that the harmonic tone of 9 deals with greater cycles. We're entering into greater cycles of reality, greater cycles of our own being. Fear is very constrictive, it locks you into a very organized, very predictable, very routine, very habitual way of handling things. Fear does not allow you to step outside of what you are comfortable with. An eagle that is stuck in the nest, scared to jump out and fly and learn how to fly. Akmal, as an archetype, is an abyss of darkness. One of the things or one of the concepts that's most commonly associated with an abyss is the bottomlessness of an abyss. So if I'm to take that into consideration with the fact that men is an eagle, right? And if we're dealing with the shadow of men, an eagle that is afraid to jump out of or step out of the nest and learn how to fly, right? If this abyss is bottomless, then wouldn't this be the safest place to actually try some new shit? It's not like you can get any lower than this. It's not like you can go, you've already hit rock bottom. It's not like you can go any further down than this. If you jump out of that nest and begin to try to learn how to fly, if it's bottomless, right? If it's a bottomless abyss, then you're never going to hit the ground. You have all the space and time in the world, in the universe, to learn how to fly. This is the safest space to learn how to fly. And wouldn't you know it? In the Egyptian conceptualization of the darkest hour of the night, this was the very space in which the sun god planted the seed of a new being. It was in the darkest hour of the night. Remember once again that Akbal is also associated with the womb. So the seed has to be planted in the darkest hour of the night, in the darkest spaces of the womb, right? In order to begin the conception and gestation process of a new being, of a new child, right? Let's keep that in mind. I'm not going to talk about how I pulled Chuen, the archetype of the inner child. I'm not going to talk about that. No, we're not gonna deal with that. I'm just gonna deal with these because this over here is already enough. We ain't gonna deal with all this Christ child energy, especially considering the fact that December 11th is well into Christmas season, right? The birth of the Christ. Okay, whatever. You niggas will handle that in y'all meditation, all right? But this is ultimately what we're dealing with. We're dealing with having to go into this dark space, having to really confront and face all of these different demons, all of these different pains and traumas that have programmed us into our habitual state of existence. This state of existence where we're locked into these cyclic patterns of doing the same shit over and over and over and over and over again, walking in circles in that same comfortable nest, all the while expecting something new and different to happen when we keep repeating the same actions. This is what karma is all about. Karma in Sanskrit means actions. Oh yeah, I do etymology in other languages too. Karma means action. So if you don't change your actions, how can you expect a different reaction out of it? How can you expect to create new results? That's the definition of insanity. And here we go with the lunatic. Luna, the night. Lunatic, the moon's timing. Interesting. Interesting. We dealing with Akbar, right? That's how you really go crazy. That's the true definition of insanity. Doing something over and over again and expecting a different result. Isn't it interesting that the sun has to go into the underworld over and over and over again in order to be reborn in a more perfected state? does that mean? The sun doesn't go into the underworld the same way every fucking night. It also doesn't leave the underworld the same way it went in. Through the darkness, you are transformed. Just as the phoenix is reborn from its own ashes. This is the energy of Scorpio transitioning into Sagittarius. This is the polarity of death and birth. This is what the true energy of Gemini is really dealing with. The polarity, not the duality. Because if you look at the constellation of Gemini, they're holding hands. They're not separate from one another. They're not dueling one another. They're in unison with one another. They're holding hands. So we're dealing with the polarity of death and birth. When we look at the law of polarity, like and unlike are the same at varying degrees. A death in one realm is a birth into another. So if you are not willing to release and let go of all of these old, dead, decaying aspects of self that are trapped within your subconscious, guess what? You're going to be pushed deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into your own underworld. You're digging yourself a grave by not truly allowing all of these feelings to crack out of this comfortable shell that you've created in order for you to sprout into a new life. The weight and the pressure of it all is causing you to sink, causing you to drown in an abyss that you could ultimately free yourself from once you realize, oh shit, all of this is just a dream. And if this is just a dream, then I can become lucid within this dream and completely begin to control how this dream plays itself out. But in order to do that, I have to be committed to traversing through all of this darkness. I have to be committed to moving through my own shadow, which is a reflection of the collective shadow. As I begin to heal my own pains, as I commit to healing of someone else's trauma and pain. This is what we're dealing with here. This is what I want to bring out, is the fact that you are the twin to the collective. You are a microcosm of the macrocosm. So your healing automatically heals the conscious reality around you because it is your subconscious mind that is creating all of this shit. This is what I wanted to talk about. This is what I wanted to deal with in regards to this Gemini full moon, how it is illuminating both sides of the equation. Not only the unhealed traumas within the collective, but also the unhealed traumas within the individual, and putting them, juxtaposing them right in front of one another, so that way we begin to understand just how much our healing is the healing of the collective, how our healing is the healing of the nation. All right? We have to begin to understand now how we can begin to traverse through our own inner space and all of the different dimensions of our own inner space in order to be able to create and reach new heights in outer space. All of this is outer space. Don't think outer space is the stars and shit. Everything from the skin out is outer space. Everything from the skin in is inner space. It is through traveling through inner space that we begin to control and master outer space. It's not the other way around. I promise you that much. All right. So let's go to the shadow transformation of Akbal. Then we're going to go to the shadow transformation of men and see how all this shit connects. The shadow transformation for Akbal: be willing to examine how you judge and evaluate yourself. You'd have to go into your own internal world. You'd have to go in and deal with the ways that you have been programmed to engage with yourself on an internal level. What does your self talk sound like? Are you shitting on yourself? Is it self deprecating? Do you empower yourself from within this space of darkness? Or do you further put yourself down in that space of darkness? Right? The next aspect of the shadow of Akbal is embrace and follow your inner shadow process to learn from their gifts, because it is from darkness that light is created. It is from the womb, the triple darkness, that the Son is born, Christ. Yea, though I walk through the valley in the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. Because why? You are the light. You are the one. You would be Neo in that regard. So what we have to understand is that we are at this very moment now becoming the full moon, the twin aspect of the sacred child, the divine child that's talked about in many cultures, because even within the Egyptian shit, there's Khonsu and then there's Heru. Heru is the seen, but Khonsu is the unseen. Heru is the sun, Khonsu's the moon. We are now becoming the divine child in its twin aspect, now illuminating the darkness, which means we now have to tap into a new level of lunar intelligence. We now have to be able to shine light on these shadow aspects. Not only are we going to shine light on them, we're going to directly look at them, accept them for what they are, not judge them, but understand that these aspects shape our reality. And the more we can begin to accept and understand how these hidden, unseen aspects of self, how these repressed, depressed, oppressed, suppressed aspects of self actually shape the conscious dream that we are living in, not only as an individual, but as a collective. Once we begin to see how these things shape our reality, we can then begin to create real change within that reality. We can rebirth this reality to reflect greater cycles, harmonic tone 9, greater cycles of our own being. We can now step into greater habits. We can now set up new rituals, because a ritual is just something that you do over and over again. We can now set up new rituals, new habits, new karmic patterns of actions that will allow us to step into greater and greater versions of who we are. The eagle has to be pushed out of the nest multiple times before it learns how to truly fly, right? And then here's the most interesting thing. When these eagles, these hawks, these falcons learn how to fly, how do they fly in the air? They fly in spiraling motions. They fly in circular patterns. They don't just fly in linear motion. Nah, they fly in circles. They circle back on themselves. They bring everything full cipher. So this is not about just moving forward and just trying to forget all the shit behind us. No, no, no. We have to go back, circle back on it, really gain the full 360-degree perspective on it, and then we can move on into a new cycle. Once we've gained that full perspective and a full perception of what it was that we were doing before and why those actions were necessary in order to bring us into our current reality, where we can now have the opportunity to even create a change. Understand that with creating change, you cannot fear the change that you're trying to create. You can't fear the new reality that you're trying to be born into. You have to be willing to take that quantum leap from one known state of existence into an unknown state of existence. All the while keeping within your mind's eye the goal, the intention, the vision of where you're trying to go. Because that's what Men is all about. Shadow transformation for men. Learn to temper service with nourishment and rest. You have to be self nourishing. You have to know when to take a break to deal with yourself, to rejuvenate you. Because if your cup is empty, how the fuck are you going to give to someone else? Makes no sense. You have to believe in yourself, which is why I asked, what does your internal talk sound like? Are you self deprecating or are you self empowering? Are you judging yourself? Are you punishing yourself for things that you should be able to now let go of because they've already happened? They've already, why are you holding on to it? It's dead and gone now. We're dealing with an eagle, not a vulture. Only vultures circle around dead shit. We're dealing with an eagle. We're not dealing with a vulture. Let's keep that in mind. So believe in yourself. Follow your own visions and dreams. Here we go. You have to believe in order to achieve. How very interesting that the archetype of Sagittarius very much so deals with belief. I know to tell you that Pisces is belief. Pisces is not belief. Pisces is imagination, right? Which is also embodied in the archetype of men, right? But in order for you to have an imagination, you have to first believe, which is square to Pisces, right? You'd have to first believe in the visions in your head in order to exist within them. That's what imagination is all about. That's why children have the greatest imagination, because what they see in their mind, they really believe, thus making it their reality. Virgo, which is square to Gemini, which is the magician. Oh, see how that comes full circle? That's how we get that eagle perspective. Eagle is so high up in the sky that it has a full vantage point of everything that is going on beneath it. So let's think about it like this, right? Boom. For me, Atlanta, Georgia, from Raleigh, North Carolina is a couple hours into my future if I wanted to go there, right? But if I get a high enough perspective, I kind of and Atlanta, Georgia, in the same space in time. That's the eagle's vision. This is why birds like the eagle, the hawk, and the falcon were associated with the royal power, because that's what the pharaoh was supposed to have, a greater vision of how to lead and direct not only self but also all of those who were following behind this eagle. This is why Heru becomes the ultimate symbol of the royal power on this regard, because that's what ultimately makes the pharaoh is the vision and the ability to not only see the vision but believe in the vision in order to achieve the vision. By working to free himself from the bondage and oppression of Set, right? Heru becomes worthy of the throne. Thus, he becomes able to better lead his people into the promised lands. No different than Moses, no different than Jesus, who are all based on this same Christ-like archetype. But it is only through remembering their commitment to themselves within this play of life, within this conscious dream, that they are able to help others get to their conscious dreams. It is only through remembering their purpose in this story that they are able to play their role. But first, they gotta go into the underworld. They have to face their demons. They have to battle with their own internal darkness in order to create a new light within themselves. This is all about a Shakti pot. This is about going into the dark and dealing with whatever the fuck is there until you are able to find the light that exists within self and then shine that light as uninhibitedly as you can. You are going to have to go into the dark, go back into the womb and become a newly born son. This is a resurrection. Because when Christ was crucified, there was a dark cloud that came over and hovered above the crucifix. He was then placed into a what? A cave. Akbal is a cave. How interesting. Christ was placed into a cave for 3 days. The 3 trimesters. And then he was reborn. And then what did he do? He ascended into heaven. But while he was in that cave for those 3 days, where was he? He was in hell, freeing souls, while he was traveling through the underworld himself. Do y'all hear me, or am I talking to myself? This is what we're doing. This is how you become a light in the underworld for others. It is by fully enlightening yourself. But that means that you have to die. The old you, the old ways of dealing with shit have to be released. Death is a release. Death is a surrender. Death is a forgiveness process. Because it is through death that you release the desire to punish yourself in this conscious nightmare. And through that death, you're reborn into a state of ecstasy. You're now rebirthed into a form, a being that can now access what we would call heaven. You can access all the joys, all the ecstasy of life. But first, you have to release all of the pain. You're going to have to cry. You're going to have to shed all of these feelings. You're going to have to burn them all out. You're going to have to burn yourself up in order to rise from those ashes as a new soul. As a new entity who has the ability to rise above and fly above all of the previous destruction that once was your entire consciousness. You're going to rise above that. The Maya Angelou poem, Still I Rise, comes to my mind. You niggas should check that out. Read that to yourself. That's a motherfucking mantra. But this is ultimately what we're dealing with. Going into the dark, dealing with all of our shadows, facing all of our shadows, accepting all of our shadows, loving all of our shadows, being committed to healing oneself in order to give compassionate service to others. Because what is the etymology of the word compassion? To suffer with. To suffer with. Once I heal my own pain, then I become more understanding of the pain that the collective is dealing with. Through that understanding, I'm now better able to guide those who are looking for a way out, so that way they can then be reborn into a new level of their own being. When my cup is full, I'm able to fill someone else's. And through that process, we all heal each other by healing ourselves first. This is what we're dealing with. This is how we all, the 144, 1 plus 4 plus 4, 9, enter into a greater cycle of reality. How we enter into the true ascension. Look at how men is looking up. The ascension out of the darkness. But the only way to ascend out of the darkness is by first going through the darkness. The only way above is through. The only way out is by going in. And let me say that again. The only way out is by going in. Straight like that. So this is what we're dealing with. This is ultimately what I'm trying to bring forward with this Gemini new moon in Sagittarius, or Gemini full moon, I should say, in the start of Sagittarius season. This is what we're going for. We're in a new 360-day cycle. We're about to begin a new 260-day cycle. This is what it's all about. The rebirthing, a new conceptualization that will be gestated and given birth to as a new version of self, a higher version of self, a new entity that has yet to be seen but has always existed within you, but has been pushed down, has been depressed for so long that you forgot it was even there. So understand that so much of what you think is you is about to change, and you have to be willing to let those things go. You have to be willing to let go of these old habits. You have to be willing to really step into a new karmic cycle, new actions that create new reactions that ultimately create an entirely new pathway for you to walk into heaven. This is what we're dealing with. This is what we're going for. I'm not going to sugarcoat this shit for you niggas. This is the name of the game. So now I want to present to you guys, after that beautiful hour-long explanation, now I want to present to you guys the mudras that we're going to be doing and the mantras that we're going to be focused on in order to really be able to bring forward all of this energy, all right? So we're going to start with the mudra for Akbal, and then we're going to move into the mudra for men. We're going to connect the two with one another in order to create a true energetic flow that is going to allow us to awaken these energies within self. I want you guys to practice this shit every day until the new moon. If you practice this shit every day until the new moon, I promise you, you will notice changes. You will see me in the next aura alignment and be like, oh shit, that is Shiva. It was crazy. I experienced this, that, and that, and that, and that. And now I'm in this totally different headspace and da 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 da, blah, 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 all that shit. All right. But you have to be committed. Once again, men, qualities, commitment. If you really want to be able to help heal those around you, you're going to have to commit to your own healing first. That's a fact. All right. So the mudra for Akbal starts with your hands together like this at your waist. Right. So your hands are going to be together like this. It's obviously better if you stand. I don't feel like standing right now. So you go and stand because you need to do it. I done already did this about 50 million times. So hands at the waist, right? Together like this. And then you're going to bow forward. And as you rise up, your hands are going to come cross. I like to do right over left just because that's the way Asar does it when he crosses his arms in the underworld. So, boom. Hands at the waist, together like this. You're going to bow forward, and then as you come up, right over left, you're going to bring your arms up, and they're going to come over your eyes. Right? Boom. Blocking out all of the external projections. Right? Then we're going to drop our hands to our heart. They're going to be cupped left on top of right at the heart chakra. We're moving into the mudra for men, right? We're going to bring those hands up to our eyes yet again, blocking out that external stimuli, which is going to awaken the third eye, right? And then from this position, we're going to extend our arms and we're going to flap our wings like an eagle soaring. If you feel ridiculous, fucking good. That's how you know you're doing it right. Because your ego is trying to fight it. All right? So once again, hands together like this, at the waist, bow forward. As we come up, arms are going to cross, right over left, and from the eyes. Then we're going to drop our hands left on top of right, under the heart chakra. Boom. We're going to bring those hands up to the eyes. We're going to fully block out the external stimuli, awaken the third eye. Make sure you're visualizing all of this shit, right? Gonna block out all of that external stimuli, opening the third eye, creating that space of darkness to open the third eye. And then from there, we're gonna begin to fly through that space of darkness. We're gonna take a full view of all of the darkness that is within us. We're gonna take it all in. We're not gonna try to hide our vision from anything. We're gonna let whatever comes to us in that darkness be seen. Let it communicate with you. Do not run from it. Accept it. As you accept it, you release it. You let it go. Whatever feelings need to be let out, let them out. If you want to cry, cry. If you want to laugh, laugh. If you want to fucking get angry, be angry. But it's all about releasing these emotions that have been held down. All right? By going into the underworld to fully view them in their most original, most primal, most destructive state. All right? So that's what we're dealing with here. Once again, hands together at the waist, bow forward, arms crossed, cupped at the heart chakra, covering the eyes, and out, flying like the eagle. All right? Matter of fact, while you're doing this, keep your eyes closed the entire time. Keep your eyes closed the entire. Ain't shit out here to look at. This is the conscious nightmare. We trying to go into the internal world to deal with that conscious nightmare. Close your damn eyes. Boom. Boom. Like I said, the harmonic tone for this particular day within the Zolkin calendar is 9. So if you can, try to do this shit 9 times a day. Or better yet, if you can only do it once a day, make sure when you're in that men position flapping your wings, you flap your wings 9 times. You see what I'm saying? 9 is also the feminine. We're really trying to get deep into this internal yin feminine world. 9 is a number that is associated with darkness very heavily. You see what I'm saying? The 9 months that it takes for a child to gestate and be born. Here we go again. Quantum entanglement. We trying to create these relationships between these energetic forces in order to truly enact them and channel their energies in order to release these energies. All right. So 9 times a day, or if you only can do it once a day, flap your damn wings 9 times. This is how we're going to utilize this energy. This is the mudra that we're going to be working with for this particular space and time until the new moon. All right. I promise you, if you commit to this shit, right? If you commit to this new action, you're gonna be able to release a whole lot of shit that you were repressing, that was suppressed, that was oppressed, that was depressed, and is gonna really allow you to more effectively be able to help those people around you simply by tapping into a higher vibration of your own light. All right. So that is the mudra for this full moon. That is the aura alignment for this full moon. Oh, you thought I was going to align your aura? Oh, no, no, no. You're aligning your aura. I'm just giving you the tools to do so. What is the mantra that we're gonna be using? Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. The best one I can think of, because that ultimately embodies both of these archetypes. She's gonna talk about all of these different phases of darkness, all of these different um, traumas and pains that she goes through, and how she is still able to rise above them because she ultimately recognizes a higher power that exists within her. Maya Angelou is one of my favorite artists. Matter of fact, Still I Rise was the very fucking poem that got me into poetry. You see what I'm saying? So I know the power of this shit. I've used it my whole entire life. It's been ingrained in my subconscious. You see what I'm saying? So I want y'all to utilize it on that particular regard. That's all I really got for you niggas. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, whatever the hell, state your piece now, because I'm about to go do non-live streamy shit after this, and I'm not gonna be on Twitter, so don't expect to ask me no questions on there neither.
Non-live stream shit.
So if y'all got questions, ask them now. Of course, like, share, subscribe, comment, do all that YouTubey shit that niggas do. You see what I'm saying? Share the video. You see what I'm saying? If you really want to help niggas around you, share this video with them. See if it can't help them out. You see what I'm saying? Boom. Get you some accountability buddies. You see what I'm saying? Have somebody to hold you to this commitment that you're making in this particular time. So, questions, comments, concerns, anybody? I'm crying. Hey, that there we go. That's the release. Cry, get it out. That's the release. That's ultimately what I'm looking for. Beautiful. Beautiful. Keep crying. Keep purging. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. Always a pleasure to kick it with real niggas and real nagas. No comments, no questions, no concerns. Okay. Niggas, you sure? Don't DM me. Don't DM me. I'm trying to help you niggas now. If y'all got these questions, ask now. Oh, once again, uh, Dark Eagle Trance Ritual. Definitely go fuck with that. It'll help you understand um what different resistances within your physical body and energetic body feel like. Of course, those resistances will be blockages, and it'll really help you release certain blockages, especially if we're trying to focus on purging each one of these individual chakras of the traumas that have been inflicted upon them. You really want to know what it feels like to have a resistance in place and what it feels like to really release and surrender those things. So I definitely want y'all to consider investing in that particular webinar. Shout outs to Mama Kali. All right. Um, Hold on. This came in. What's the time? My detox. Thank you. Just keep it. All right. All right. We got somebody doing a detox. Beautiful. That, of course, the physical detox also needs to be mirrored by an emotional, psychological detox. So I'm definitely wishing you the best, praying for you. Keep going. Bless, bless. I appreciate everybody that came through. I appreciate y'all sitting with me for this hour and some change and really letting me get my thoughts out. You know what I'm saying? Letting me talk in circles until I reach that point. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate all of you. Um, Matter of fact, let me send you niggas out with a little bit more of this here singing bowl. Really clear and prepare your bodies for the amazing amount of transformation that's about to go down within the next couple of weeks. This is really all about opening up to the inner child. Like I said, November 20th to December 11th is an amazing time in space and an amazing space and time. You see what I'm saying? To really start setting new goals, new initiatives, new projects, new everything, new thought forms, new actions, new habits, new realities into place. This is the darkest hour of the night where the seed of a new reality is planted. So I really want y'all to utilize this time. I really want y'all to think about what it is that you're trying to become. I really want y'all to envision it. And then once you envision it, I want you to believe in that vision. That's what Sagittarius is all about, the belief. Believe in that vision, right? That's how you make it your I Magi Nation. What you see in that eye will become the reality that you live in, like magic. So believe in your dreams and visions, follow through with all of them. Don't let any fear hold you back from taking necessary action to make these things happen. All right. One time for my niggas, two times for my niggas.